What if I told you that in our constant rush for more productivity, your biggest competitive advantage might actually come from doing, well, nothing at all? It sounds completely backward, I know. But we're about to explore how deliberately making space for boredom could be the secret to unlocking deeper meaning and your next big breakthrough.
No, really, think about it for a second. When was the last time you just sat there for 15 minutes with no phone, no podcast, no music, zero distractions, just you, alone with your thoughts? If you're drawing a blank, you are definitely not alone. We've pretty much engineered these moments of quiet right out of our lives.
And look, this isn't just some wellness fad. This quote from the Harvard Business Review lays it out in black and white. The stakes are incredibly high here. We're talking about a core piece of a successful, meaningful life that we actively and often unconsciously run away from. So, why do we flee from boredom like it's the plague? Well, this gets us into a really fascinating and, frankly, kind of weird paradox about how we're wired. Our instinct to fill empty space is so powerful, we will often choose something actively unpleasant over just being quiet. Just how powerful is this aversion? It's staggering. In one Harvard study, researchers left people alone in a room for just 15 minutes. And get this, 67% of the men in that study chose to give themselves a painful electric shock instead of just sitting there with their own thoughts. They literally chose pain over boredom.
And this is the whole conflict in a nutshell, right? Our gut instinct screams that a painful shock is somehow better than being bored. But our deeper psychological need is the total opposite. We need that boredom to find the very meaning and clarity we say we want. We are basically hardwired to make the wrong choice.
So, what is actually happening in our brains during these moments we try so desperately to avoid? It turns out, it's not empty space at all. It's actually when our mind's most powerful engine for creativity and deep thinking finally gets to turn on. Neurologists call it the default mode network, or DMN for short. The easiest way to think about it is it's what your brain is doing when you're not actively doing something. When you're just staring out the window or taking a shower. That's when this network lights up. It is absolutely not a bug. It's a critical feature of our minds.
And this is where the magic happens. This is the whole game. The DMN is what connects all those random ideas floating around in your head and creates those aha moments. It's the part of your brain that chews on the big questions, like, what am I really doing with my career? Or what's my purpose? It's literally the engine that builds your sense of self.
Okay, so if this network is so important, why are we so bad at letting it run? Well, we've invented the perfect tool to shut it off. And in doing so, we've trapped ourselves in a cycle that actually drains the very meaning we're looking for.
Let's just call it what it is. The number one culprit is that little device in your pocket. Every spare microsecond, waiting for the elevator, in line for coffee, we pull it out. We have become masters at eliminating any possibility for our minds to just wander.
And what this creates is a really vicious cycle. Here's how it works. You feel a flicker of boredom. Your immediate instinct is to grab your phone. The second you do, you silence that default mode network. You shut down that deep thinking. The result? You feel this low-grade sense of hollowness, maybe some anxiety. And what do we do when we feel anxious? We reach right back for the device for another hit of distraction. And the doom loop just keeps on spinning.
Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. But the good news is the solution is actually pretty simple, though I'm not going to say it's easy. It just requires some good old-fashioned discipline. Let's walk through 4 clear protocols you can start using today to take your mind back.
All right, here's your toolkit. Number 1, try working out without any audio. No music, no podcasts. Just let your mind go. 2, commute in silence. Use that time to process and think, not just consume more content. 3, make meals a device-free zone. It's that simple. And 4, try regular screen fasts. A really popular one is just no phone after 7 p.m. Give your brain a real chance to power down.
Now, I know a lot of us feel this pressure to be plugged in 24/7, to stay informed. But this quote really hits the nail on the head. This constant fire hose of information, it's not a professional necessity, it's a modern addiction. And it's a destructive one. Trust me, the world will be fine if you unplug for a bit.
Of course, the number one excuse is, but what if there's an emergency? Let's just be real about that for a second. You can literally set your phone to let calls from specific people come through. 99% of your notifications are not emergencies. What's happening on LinkedIn can wait. Just be clear with your team about your communication boundaries. You're not disappearing, you're just taking control.
So let's bring this all home. Why does any of this matter for you professionally? Because mastering the art of being bored isn't just a self-care trick. It's about performing at a higher level. It is your ultimate professional advantage.
For starters, you unlock a level of creativity that is just impossible when you're constantly distracted. Your brain needs that downtime to make novel connections. Your next big idea isn't going to pop up while you're scrolling a feed. It's going to emerge from a quiet moment of reflection.
And here's that amazing paradox again. By getting better at being bored, you'll actually find yourself less bored with your work, with your relationships, with your life. You re-engage with everything on a deeper level because you're more present and more focused.
But the ultimate payoff here is purpose. Giving yourself this mental space allows you to really dig into what matters in your career. You start to build a more coherent story. You lead with a much stronger sense of why they're doing what you're doing. And that leads to way more job satisfaction and just more happiness.
So I'll just leave you with this question. Your next brilliant idea, your next moment of profound clarity, it's already in you. It's just waiting for you in that next quiet moment you'd normally fill with a distraction. The only question is, will you be there to hear it?